Hey, drove my wife's Tahoe to work today, said it was running rough. I couldn't duplicate the problem even when power braking. Well, let's get Dave and the crew's help today as we fire up a new season of Tech Garage. Welcome to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Season 8, unbelievable, all the way back to 2015, thanks to you guys. This is gonna be the best season ever. Why am I saying that? Well, Garage Ed's coming back with all kinds of suspension stuff, and we're doing the Master Technician Tech Tip. 13 of the coolest tips that you can use right out in the driveway. But one thing we're not, and that's fluff. So let's get right to it. We have this 2015 Tahoe. It's got a 5.3 liter. And what's going on? Kind of breaking down, but usually just under load. Maybe an intermittent misfire. I'm not sure what it is, but when you get under load, it shakes and it bucks. But right now it's running pretty good. I got my RockAuto.com scan tool, put it in there, scanned it, no codes. You know what that means? We're gonna need some further diagnostics.
Hey, Johnny, what's happening?
It's actually just under load. It's breaking down is what's happening. I mean, you know, there's really nothing. There's no codes. Yeah, it's got 120,000 miles. That may be a dead giveaway.
Well, I saw you had that tool there, and just in case, I grabbed the professional scan tool over here. So we brought out the big guns, and we're gonna perform a cylinder power balance test on this. What we're gonna do is fire up the truck, and we're gonna cut each cylinder individually, all 8 of them, one at a time. If it starts to shake and shimmy and vibrate, we know that that's our problem cylinder. And if we don't get that, then we've got other problems.
What are you drinking? I didn't get a drink.
You want that one?
No, what's the deal with the drink?
Yeah, so the drink's there. I saw this in a dinosaur movie, so I thought we'd try it here. Actually, I put it there on purpose to see when our engine starts to shake and everything. You'll be able to see it on camera, so for the folks at home, they get to see what's going on.
Folks at home, I want to see this. Hey, we got an assistant in the truck, Benjamin. He's ASC certified. Will you crank it up, put the parking brake on, put the emergency brake on. We got the wheels chalk. Let's see what happens.
All right, so it's normal vibration. We'll see what happens when we start to cut cylinders here.
Sure.
I will start with cylinder number 1. I'll hit disable.
Whoa.
Okay, well, look at that.
Hey, it's dancing.
It's walking across.
Can you do them all?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just start with number 2, and we'll disable that one. Same thing. Okay, so no problem. Cylinder 2.
Right.
Switch it to 3, disable.
Look
okay,
at that.
So we're still looking good.
Dave, I don't want one of these to shake, man. Come on.
Let's see here.
Oh, boy.
All right. And I still have my drink, so that's good. We're on number 5. We'll disable that.
That one's contributing.
Okay. Only 3 more to go. We're on 6. Disabling 6.
Nice.
All right.
Glad this isn't a 12-cylinder.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? Bringing the Alfa Romeo, we're in trouble. And we'll disable number 7.
7's contributing.
All right. And finally,
drink.
last but not least, number 8.
Oh,
okay, well.
Man. There you go.
Thanks, brother.
So what does that tell us? Hey, you can go ahead and cut it off, Benjamin. That tells us that all the cylinders are firing. So Dave, you know, it's got 120,000 miles. The tune-up's kind of a thing of the past. You know, spark plugs can last 100,000. Here's the deal. We can find and isolate the cylinder. We put one coil on it, right? So they come back. It's misfiring the same way. Chain's only as strong as its weakest link. So what's gonna happen is each one of them are gonna start to fail one at a time. It's gonna come back. So, hey, RockAuto.com.
Yeah, 120,000 miles on the thing. You might as well replace all of it. Happen to have plugs, wires, and coils back in the RockAuto storage room, so I'll go grab them.
Well, you do that, yeah, and I'll show you what we're gonna do. We're actually gonna come over here and just start taking the spark plugs and the coils off. Now, the wires, they're probably gonna break. We said 120,000 miles. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna come down here and grab it. You wanna twist them and rotate them if you're gonna use them and try to get it off, but usually that's not the case, and that's not the case, okay? The wire popped out, but so did our whole assembly down here. Here's the little shield. You can see it. I'm gonna pull it up here. I'm gonna pull it off the coil so you guys can see it. Our spring come out, all of our deals. We're gonna replace the wires anyway, and that's what you're gonna find. That's what Dave was saying. You might as well replace them all. Same thing with the coil up top. We just got a little connector right here. Pick that connector up, get it out of the way. Once I got it out of the way, I can squeeze it and disconnect it. See if I can get it off. There it goes. That's in good shape. Get it up there to keep it nice. And then we'll just go back and we'll remove the coil. So I got 2 10 millimeters. Let me get this up this way so you guys can see it. Get this way. Pull the top one. Already got the little beautification cover off the valve cover. And believe it or not, these are coil on plug. So it's just that easy, one coil for each cylinder. So we have 8 of them. So what we're saying is just replace them all as a set. It's gonna come back, it's gonna be misfiring. Our plugs are not gonna be gapped correctly. Everything's gonna be messed up. The wires are gonna be stuck. Just put them all on, be done with it. Now, you know what? It's misfiring under load. So make sure you come back right after this break because we're gonna show you why it's misfiring under load. I got a really cool demo set up for you. We'll see you in about 2 minutes. We'll be back with more Tech Garage presented by RockAuto.com.
We hope you're digging this episode of Tech Garage. We also think you'll dig what we have for you online.
Oh, absolutely. You can go to the YouTube channel. This is season 8, so there's 8 seasons of automotive education, second to none there, Dave.
Yep.
Including a bunch of other social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place, and we're always doing cool stuff, Dave, so you can learn and check out some cool stuff. And you're cool.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need. Thanks for hanging out with us here at Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Speaking of Rock Auto, John, all the parts we need for our fix are here. We've got our coils, our wires, and our plugs, all from Rock Auto. And the cool thing is RockAuto.com has really big brands, Delphi, AC Delco, and you can choose any level of part you want to get.
Yeah, you're in control, Dave. Speaking of control, you got a lot of work ahead of you, buddy.
A lot of work. I need to get to it.
Yeah, go get to it. Well, while he does that, let's take a look at one of the coolest demos on the planet. Once again, here at Tech Garage, we're talking about spark. And on our truck, here's what's going on our Tahoe. We're losing spark under load. I told you I was going to show you why. Well, right here, I have this ginormous gap in a spark plug and a little gap. Well, to overcome this ginormous gap, we'll simulate that that's under compression. It's under a lot of pressure. You're going up a hill. It's going to have to produce more spark. Watch the oscilloscope. This is so cool. So I fire it up. We got a spark line right about there, but watch the difference. That's our little spark. When we go over to the big spark, I connect that, and bam, it's off the screen. So we got a ton of spark going on right there. And that's exactly what's happening with our car. You can run a power balance test. You can just come over, cancel the cylinder. You can do it manually like Dave did. You see 2, sparks gone, sparks on, sparks gone, sparks on. So you can do that as well. Now, there's also one other trick you can do. You can actually use an infrared. I'm gonna crank this up for a second, get it hot. I got a misfire right here. Woo! Ha! Fireball. That worked out well. Anyway, that got it nice and hot. You can see our spark plugs off. Watch this, just that 1 second. See how hot that cylinder is? Number 2, not so hot. Number 3, super hot. That's it. So that misfire popped right out of that carburetor. We made a fireball. We got some heat going on. You know 2 is not firing. Not a good thing. You know what? What is a good thing, though, is Dave. Let's see how he's coming along. Well, John, we've got a good start here. The first 2 coils are off. We've got the first one replaced with a new one from Rock Auto. So we're going to replace the second one here. It's just a couple of bolts. Everything you put on, you're going to want to put on finger tight first. So that's what I'll do. And it's a little bit of a reach here. I'm not Wilt Chamberlain, so it's going to be a bit of a reach here. And then the second bolt at the bottom, again, finger tight just at first. You want to be very careful. And then we're going to run it down here with our socket wrench. That'll do it, and that one's lost forever. And we'll go get that in a minute. There we go. You can see it's plenty tight. And we still have a lot of work to do here. You can see we have the rest of the coils, we have the plugs and the wires. We're going to take care of that during break. We will come back with the first Garage Ed of the season. You do not want to miss that. We'll be right back with more Tech Garage presented by RockAuto.com. Well, we're rolling right along. Too early in the season? Well, forget about it. Hey, welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, we're donning the actual lab coat. That can only mean one thing: Garage Ed. And you know this season's going to be phenomenal on Garage Ed. We're talking about suspension, from tires all the way to electronic suspension. And we got the perfect specimen right there. We have our Challenger RT, which has all kinds of suspension on it, so we'll be able to look at it in action. Where do we start? Well, tires, of course. Let's talk a little bit about tires and tire construction. What do they do? Why do we have them? Well, first off, they actually support the vehicle weight. That's important. And they cushion the ride. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but most important is actually traction. You want to make sure you have good traction in wet and dry surfaces. Now, the construction of the tire, well, we got it right here on the screen. You can look at the graphic right here. Where does it all start? Right up there in the tread area. Now, the tread area comes down to the actual sidewall of the tire. And then underneath there you have a few belts. Depending on the construction of the tire, you could have a belted tire, you could have a belted bias ply, and you can have a radial tire. There's different types. You can see it down there. It comes all the way down to the bead, and then under there there's a little membrane that keeps your air inside of the tire. That's the little area inside the tire there. Now I have one right here that's a cutaway. This is the actual tread wear that goes across the top of the tire. Right here, this is the steel belts. Now the steel belts go across the top and reinforce the tire. This is a radial tire. And if you look on the side, this is cool, it's cut away. You can actually see the tire coming down right here, and then there's the little bead lock that goes onto your rim right there. So you got the different types of construction of the tire. Now let's take a look at the tire numbers. Look at this right here: P215, 65, R15, 89H. Say what? Well, every digit in that and every letter actually means something. This is pretty cool. We'll break it down for you. The P, if you look at the P right there, well, that's a passenger tire. You can have a T for temporary, LT is a light truck, and C is a commercial tire. Then you get to that 215. Well, that's just section width in millimeters. It goes across the top of the tire. Millimeters, that's the bigger the number, the wider the tire is. The 65, well, that's the aspect ratio. That's actually the height divided by the width. We'll take a look at that in a second as well. And then you have the R, which stands for radial, 15, which is an old tire. Now they're 22s, 32s, 44s. Man, they just keep going up. That's the rim diameter. And then the load index is the 89, and the H is the speed symbol. The lower you get in the alphabet, you start getting down to Z. Now they have ZR and even more. The higher the rated tire is for speed. That makes a big difference. That's called the P-metric style. Now, you had an alphanumeric years ago. You can see this one right here. The alphanumeric, well, that's your old school tire. That's your, maybe even your trailer tires today. You got the F as the load rating, the R was just the radial construction, and there's that aspect ratio again, that 70, that's the width and the height, and then you can see the 14, the rim diameter. Now, to talk about that aspect ratio, take a look down here. Here's what's happened with tires. Now, the one over here, you got a 70 series tire, that has a lot of sidewall. That cushioned a lot of the ride on the vehicle. Then we went to handling and performance tires. You can see the 45 series tire right there made a big difference. It's a lot lower profile, it handles much better, but we're compromising the suspension. We don't have that cushion. We don't have that ability to actually cushion the ride as we go along. So the suspension is going to take the grunt of the work, and that's fine because this Garage Ed is all about suspension. A couple more types of tires. You may have this Pax. Now this Pax was on a couple of years. You guys, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's inside of the rim. You need special tools to do it. If you got this, I'll tell you what, get rid of it. Forget about it, all right? Or you could have a run flat tire. The actual run flat tire has actually got the stiff sidewalls on there, and that's going to hold the tire up. Now, when it comes to tire service, super important. You want to make sure that you have good air pressure inside your tire, make sure that's right, and you can also check the tread depth. The tread depth of the tire is going to make a big difference on tire wear and tire patterns. And guess what? No worries. We got you covered this season because our local expert is right back there on the Challenger doing it right now.
John, I don't know about expert, but I am local, so at least I fit half the bill. And when you start doing anything on your car, underneath or here on the tires, you want to do a visual inspection. It's super simple. Just take a look around the tire, look all the way around the outside on the tread, see if you see anything unusual. You might see some unusual wear. You might see something sticking in the tire, a nail or a screw or something like that. You also can check for different wear patterns and some of the belts might actually be sticking out if your tire is worn enough, and those are obviously reasons you want to change your tires. Assuming you've done the visual inspection and everything looks good, now's the time to check our tire depth. And 7 years ago, this was the way to do it here. Take old Abe Lincoln on your penny, and I'm doing this in honor of my little boy Lincoln at home, by the way. Hi, Lincoln. And you put old Abe right there into your tire. And if you see Abe's head, that means your tire is in need of replacing, but we can see here we are firmly buried inside the groove of the tire, so no need to replace it. If you want to get a little more scientific, you go to rockauto.com and get a tire depth gauge like this one. This is an analog gauge, and you just pull it all the way out, insert it in the groove of the tire, and it will give you a reading right here. We're looking at 30 of an inch. And we're about at 9/32 of an inch. That is plenty. If you get down to 3/32 of an inch, that's time to replace your tires. RockAuto.com also has digital tire depth gauges like this one. Same process. You zero it out and you insert it in the tire. It'll give you the same kind of reading, only in a digital format. One other thing you want to do with your tires is check your air pressure. Now, you can look on the tire itself and you can see the air pressure actually written on the tire, but you want to look at the placard inside your driver's side door. That'll give you the proper pressure that you're supposed to be running on your tire. Now, you've probably seen this at the gas station. Just put this on the tire and you look, and we're about at 30. We're supposed to be running 32, so we're just fine. Add a couple of pounds if it makes you feel better. And that is all there is to it with tire wear and tire air pressure. When we come back, we're going to take a look at engine diagnostics, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Tech Garage presented by RockAuto.com.
Well, I hope you're enjoying this episode of Tech Garage, but what you might not know, we have a sister show called Motorhead Garage. You could have seen me on there years past. I'm missing it, but Dave, what a phenomenal show that is as well.
Well, John comes back and guest hosts every once in a while. But at Motorhead Garage, we do what a lot of other folks don't do. They're building cars and everything. We're showing you the coolest products for your car, for your truck, anything that goes, we have it at Motorhead Garage.
Man, I got my DVR set. I'm watching it every Sunday morning. Join me and watch Motorhead Garage. Dave does a phenomenal job. What a great informational show with some great products.
Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by AP Laser, leading the way. Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Well, welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, you guys on the social media, you love the tech tip. So guess what? It's back. This is the Master Technician's Tech Tip. 13 of the coolest tips you guys asked for that you can use right out in the driveway. Let's start out with one called a vacuum gauge reading. Why do you want to make a vacuum gauge reading? Well, it tells you a lot about what's going on with your engine, especially the mechanical integrity of it. It's really, really simple to make. Just get you a vacuum gauge. I'm going to come over to an intake source of vacuum past the throttle plate where it's going to be pulling in a good vacuum, usually on the intake manifold. Mustang here, it's super easy. Here's one right here on the top. This actually goes down to the EGR, so I'm going to pull it off, and then what I'm going to do is there's vacuum right there. So I'm going to take the vacuum gauge you can see right here and plug it into that. Now we got Benjamin, one of our ASE techs in the car. Benjamin, you fire it up. Let's see what we got. There we go. So we're looking at about 20 there. It's starting to drop. What do you want? You want anything from, let's say, 15 to about 24, 26 inches of mercury. That's good. Now, what if it wasn't good? What do you want to look for? Well, I can show you all the different things there. Well, starting out with normal vacuum, 17 to 21 inches of mercury, that's about normal. If you had it steady and low, let's say 5 to 10 inches of mercury, well, think about you got a vacuum leak somewhere. It's a huge balloon and there's a little hole in the balloon, or even timing is just messed up. You can see it on the other side, steady and low. You either have a timing issue or you have a vacuum leak. Now, if that gauge is flicking, I can make it pretty simple for you. If it's flicking, you usually got a valve train problem, and what it's doing is it's going 1864 372 1864 372, and every time it hits that cylinder that has a problem, it starts to flick. Now, last but not least, you can even check for clogged exhaust. You can go ahead and bring it to 2,000 RPM, watch your vacuum. If it starts slowly dropping to zero, you got a clogged exhaust system. Why? Can't get it out, I can't get it in. So what happens? You start losing vacuum. Great test you can make right out in the driveway. You know, Rock Auto has vacuum gauges and more. Let's check in with Tom and Dave at the Rock Auto desk.
Vacuum gauges and more, with emphasis on the more, Tom. You guys have a huge array of gauges and accessories at RockAuto.com.
Right, yeah, you may think of RockAuto.com as being replacement parts, but we, like you said, we have fun accessories, automotive tools. And it's not just the gauges that you may have put on your first car, water temperature, oil pressure. There's vacuum gauges. There's a lot of new cars that have turbochargers, so you can install a boost gauge. If you want to constantly monitor the air-fuel ratio, you can see that on your dash live. Oh, and we have gauge panels, custom gauge panels for specific vehicles, like the A-pillar or on top of the dash.
So not just a bracket for a specific application, but actually for the particular vehicle.
Yeah, if it's a specific car, or you can get an all-purpose one that goes under the dash like you may have had on your first car. Accessories include trailer hitches, really specialized automotive tools, or the stuff you need in any shop, light bars. It's really a fun section. Go to the tools and universal parts part of the catalog, and you'll see all these things.
It's the accessories and tools that really shine, and you guys have also delved into manuals as well.
Yep, yeah, we have the Shelton Haynes manuals, and we have factory manuals, we have reproduction manuals for classic cars. We even have owner's manuals and even sales literature.
Excellent. Well, RockAuto.com has all the parts your car will ever need, all the accessories too. Go check them out.
Check, double check, triple check. Boy, it looks good. Dave, you nailed this one.
Well, John, at 120,000 miles, replacing the coils, the plugs, and the wires, it's just the sensible thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. You know, this was a great show in the garage, Ed. We did the tire fundamentals, Master Tech tip, man, all about vacuum gauge readings. Dave, we are off to a killer start.
I believe that makes us 1-0. We are undefeated on the season.
Woohoo! Well, we're out of time for today, so check us out on social media, all that cool stuff, Facebook, YouTube. But you know what? We'll be back next week with 12 more great episodes right here from the luxurious Tech Garage Studios at Chipola College with the best crew in the business, Dave.
See ya.